Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? It is time for Truth Will Say. What the hell? Why are you shaking your head already, Kaecey?
Why? Because of you. You know why? You know why.
I don't even want to be next to you. I don't want to be next to that white guy.
Again, he doesn't like whites. I get it.
Nope. Hey, we got a great show today. We got a lot of topics. We're going to be talking about some of the anti-Trump posts that the Biden campaign has come out with. Pretty mind-boggling. We're going to get into Isreal. It might be Kash and Anthony's first disagreement. Kaecey is going to be an innocent bystander because he hates talking about Israel and Palestine. So there's going to be that. It's going to be black versus white. That's what it's going to be. It's going to literally be a fully racist conversation. As I'm wearing a Pure Blood hat, which people might think is KKK related. It's not. It's because I don't have the juice, unlike the guy next to me.
I thought that you were saying that you was a blood. I didn't know. I thought something complete. That's how
he was wearing a red shirt.
You went straight to racism. I went straight to gangs. You know what I'm saying?
Pure blood. Yeah, we have a line that says pure blood and then pure crip. That's
you're wearing red too. Oh, bro, you out here booling right now, boy.
Oh, I'm straight up. Hold on. Hold on.
Let
Wait.
me tell you something. When I get up out of here right now, cuz, you know what I'm gonna go do? I'm gonna go get some chocolate built bookies, cuz.
How's that? Do I look? Am I official now?
Now you look like a cholo. Now you look like
what's up?
What's up, eh? What's
up? Are there any blood cholos?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
What's up, SA? We got Cash. We got Cash Lee Kelly on the show. All right, I gotta undo.
Don't ever do that again, bro.
No, I won't. I feel like I'm gonna get capped in the street out here. I don't know.
You're a lot better at doing Asian stuff than you are a cholo.
I feel like there could be Asians in that gang too. All right, then we're gonna talk Supreme Court chopping Abbott off at the knees. No,
that's horrible. That's horrible. That's
we're
good.
Way off the rails to start.
That's funny.
We're talking about the southern border, not below the belt. Okay. And yeah, just company. We'll get into it. There's a lot to talk about. So that's the show that we're going to have today. Before we get started, Cash, what's up in your world?
You guys don't want to know. I'm maintaining. I'm good. You know, life is great. I'm alive. I'm free. My kids are healthy. Yeah.
Moving on. Kaecey, how's it going? How you doing, brother?
It's going, man. Just waiting for the results to come in New Hampshire, looking at what my legislature is doing here in Utah, which is flipping everybody upside down. We are literally passing a bathroom bill, and it's looking very promising, and it's causing everybody to freak out. So good things. Good things.
What's the bathroom bill?
Yeah, what's the bathroom?
So your biological sex is where you have to go to the bathroom. You can't.
What?
Men. Yes.
That is so not normal.
How is that? How is that possible?
That's you saw to protest this. This is insane.
Of course,
so
both of you want to be in women's bathrooms. I get it.
Transphobic. So Deanna, Cash has been gone for 3 years. If I mean, it happens. It's been a bit quick 3 years, but no, he's back. He just we've had now 3 episodes, and we'll figure out when we're doing the 4th of what the heck happened to Cash. Part 4 coming up soon. We'll discuss that at the end of the show. And I forgot, we will talk about New Hampshire. I forgot to mention that. We'll talk about what's going on there. We won't really know anything for about an hour. Real quick, guys, I'm going to throw this on the bottom. Make sure you get hooked up with our gear. Actually, let's start here. Start with Cash. If you want to hook up or help Cash as he's getting we're going to get his equipment. We're going to get fun things like lights like this guy so that when he gets home, how long are you in the halfway house for? Do you know yet, or is that still?
I'm out of here in February.
In February sometime. So once you get February, then you'll have the setup. You'll be able to do interviews. He'll probably do some kind of a press tour. We'll talk about what he is going to be. We're going to be asking everybody's help to pitch to just start tagging Tucker Carlson, the Blaze and stuff, because he's got some stuff that we'll talk about on one of our shows. But needless to say, I'll do a quick spoiler alert. He actually, it's ironic that the whole reason Cash got his voice was because of what happened with George Floyd, and he ended up being in prison, in federal prison, with Derek Chauvin. And I'm going to leave it there. We're just going to pause. Unless, do you want to say something else, Cash?
Stay tuned.
Good. God, you have gotten way better at marketing now that you've been locked up. I love it. Cash in the days of old be like, well, I don't want to give away too much.
But here's the story.
All right. So if you want to help Cash, if you just go to helpcash.com, that goes to his Give, Send, Go page. You guys have done phenomenal. I think we're at $2,300. The goal is to get to 5,000. That'll get him set up for a month and a half, 2 months, and then of course doing constant content and all that stuff. Secondly, if you like the gear, we still have Cash. So everything on our website is 20% off if you use Cash at checkout, Kash. And then if you go to wakenotwokestore.com, the Cash gear is not 20% off, but all that profit goes directly to him. I see a lot of comments coming on, but I don't see a lot of thumbs up and hearts. So please do that for me. I see Kaecey already threw that out there for you guys. Please, please, please help me out. Looking at all the comments, I see them. And for those of you that give super chats, last thing, and then we'll start the show. For those of you that do give super chats, we appreciate them. What I would love is just going straight to helpcash.com, because Give, Send, Go, I think, takes 1% or less, whereas Google and YouTube takes 40%. So that's all I'll say. But if it's easier, damn.
YouTube is pimping right now. I have two things to say.
Go ahead.
One, normally, I look a lot better than I appear right now, guys. I'm sulking, okay? I'm sulking. Number two, I have not received my Awake Not Woke gear, and I want it. And I want it now. Oh, you got to go on the website. You got to pick the stuff out. You know my style. Just get it.
Go ahead, Kaecey.
Didn't you say we can't send it to you?
That's not my problem, okay?
That's good.
Not your problem.
You also said there's some stuff that I really like on the website. I'll tell you what it is. And we have heard absolutely nothing.
You know what? Okay, it's been a rough day, Russo. Okay?
We've got episode. Oh, sorry, I got to take off this comment. I just thought it was Cash. I smashed it. It sounds funny. All right, Truth Will Set You Free, episode 167, season number 3. We've got Cash joining us for his second week back. Kaecey, as usual, and me, and we were talking about Desantis dropping out. We're talking about New Hampshire. We're talking about Vivek dropping out. We're going to talk a little bit about Isreal, Supreme Court, Southern Border, Abbott campaigning against Trump, and what the Biden group is doing, all the fun stuff. That's what we're talking about on episode 167. We're going to get right into it, ladies and gents. Kaecey, you already have something pulled up. What do you got up behind there? Because we're going to talk about, is that the one with Biden speaking first, or is that Trump?
That is Trump's speech first.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to bring this up. So there's a campaign ad. It's Biden-Harris HQ, which I believe is fun. I want to say it's funded by the Biden administration. I can't confirm that, but everything I've heard is that is one of their pages. Kaecey's shaking his head yes. So they're talking about this one clip where they say that Trump is not fit for office because he's slurring his words. So it's a 5-second clip.
Genius, remain in Mexico until you've vetted and everything. No, you don't have to be a total genius. Remain in Mexico until you've vetted and everything.
So he said, until you vetted and everything else. Again, was it slurred? Did he speak? Was it clear? No. But when you are legitimately coming from a place of the Biden campaign, that is the epitome of what we say that the left always does. They call out the other side trying to avoid how bad they look. And before we have a full discussion, Kaecey, go ahead and bring up Joey Basements this week.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the middle America unless you want to get the benefit. We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the middle America unless you want to get the benefit.
No. What? I couldn't even understand what he said until Russo broke it down for me. By the way, that video is today.
I understood him. You don't.
What did he say?
Where's Middle America? That's what he said. I heard him.
Said boys and girls or something. So Kaecey, while we're talking about this, can you grab the one that you posted on our own page as well from last week, which was even worse? You know, I get really frustrated at the oh heavenly hell, what's it called? It's the page that is the anti-Trump Lincoln Project. The Lincoln Project is constantly calling out Trump's cognitive ability. And look, am I ecstatic that we're going to have a 78-year-old as president? But he, by the way, is one of the sharpest 78-year-olds I've ever seen in my whole entire life. But am I not really? But with that said, if you're bringing up cognitive ability and being on the pro-Biden bandwagon, you've lost your effing mind. If there's one thing that the Democrats should be doing right now is actually talking about the stock market and parts of the economy. Gas prices are down. I think I called that. I said, we got to stop talking about the economy because the economy is going to turn around before the election because it can be manipulated. But when you're calling out Trump's cognitive ability, you're high. Cash, what do you think?
Come on. This is comical, bro. It's comical. You think about it. They're calling out the man who goes around the country and don't sleep in the process of it, who slurred one time. Then you got Biden. I don't know if everybody remembers, but my man's didn't even come out of his basement. All right, number one. Number two, he had all the rest in the world and still was trying to read off the flashcard and, I just want to a kid and rub my legs and the bubbles. Like, he can't talk, man. And then when he does talk, he says things that make zero sense. I mean, come on. If we're going to choose between two old people, no offense to any old people, but if we're going to choose between two elderly people, I'd rather have the one that still operates like he's like 60, we'll say.
Something.
He's like
Kaecey, go ahead and play this one other video and then go ahead and give your response.
Hang on.
Yep. I just had to appreciate very much. I also want to mention Congressman Deborah Ross. Where's Deborah? I just had my picture taken with her. That's probably why she left. No, all kidding aside. Anyway, she couldn't be here, actually. That's not true. I got it mixed up. And she has, she fights very hard for the people of this district, and she's up in Washington right now. Appreciate it very much.
Like, how in the hell? No, this was
the one that was dead.
This was
no.
Deborah,
that was like dead. A year ago.
I'm about to say, he be seeing ghosts and all types of stuff, man. Straight up,
because he's so close to death.
Right.
That's not cool. That's not cool. That was not cool.
No, like literally, the part that I question when I see these now, it's like, how in the hell did he address the nation just a couple weeks ago? And he didn't have any of this.
Yo, I don't know, man. Something's going on. I'm telling you, I still think there's a play here. I don't know what it is, but there's something extra going on behind the scenes that we ain't privy to. Because the whole thing this year just feels really odd. It feels off. Something is not right.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not right. Like, when you elect a president, you want him to be like, we've been all downhill since we elected George Bush. Like, George Bush couldn't talk. And then we went to a very well-spoken President Obama. And then we got Trump, which is okay. And now we have the bottom of the barrel, Joe Biden.
But this is why I got to kill this conspiracy theory that Obama is actually the president. And the reason why we know that's not true is you can hear how Biden talks. Because if Obama was up there, he'd get a credit. Hey, he'll get you hyped up when he talks. I don't care what side you're on. When he talks, you're just like, oh, okay, you know what? Everything's going to be all right. It's going to be fine.
Well, we don't know if Obama isn't like feeding lines and backstage going, damn it, I did not say that. I don't know.
I bet you the hood comes out of Obama when he hears him talking. He'll be sitting there at home. Oh, yeah, Michelle, have a give me another cocktail, And then he used to watch Biden speak. This motherfucker. He fucked up the line again.
Does anybody else find it funny that he made a reference and asked Michelle for a cocktail? Moving on.
Yes.
So with that said, so the clip that you showed, Kaecey, that makes me laugh because when you shared it on the page, I was like, oh, he saved it pretty good when he made that joke and everybody laughed. And I was like, oh, could have been worse. and then it
And
got,
it got
worse.
worse. Yeah.
Bitch wasn't even there. She was
Joey.
Why didn't he just let it go? He probably should have just been like, he like had his PR team take care of it later. Been like, oh shit, she wasn't there. Joe, she wasn't there.
Can't help it. He's reverting back to a child.
Childlike self. So, you said we're not privy to what's going on, and I've talked about this, and I think we all kind of agree. By the way, when you talk about the hood, there's an Obama, or there's a Tucker Carlson interview from like right when he started doing the X thing with the guy that supposedly Obama a couple times, and man, that interview is, I mean, this guy's got his story on point. I'm just saying. So anyways, I just think what we're being set up for is a replacement. As we've said, I don't think it's going to be, I did an interview earlier. I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is not popular enough. So I think we're setting ourselves up for a last minute replacement that we can't fight against. And that's the bigger, they don't care watching Biden implode, because then they have an excuse come summertime or late summer and fall, beginning of fall, to go Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, whatever they want to do.
Did you see what happened in Chicago? They tried to have a Democratic convention out here in Chicago, right? Man, these brothers and sisters beat the door in, came in, fools. I'm talking about mob. And the news is right there. I said, what are y'all doing? And this lady goes off. She goes, y'all think you're going to come in here and have this Democratic convention while y'all letting our streets get flooded with a whole bunch of immigrants, and y'all not doing nothing about it, and we're losing all it. And she starts going off, and anything that she said was a key point. She said, just so you know, we're going to kill y'all at the polls. And how we're going to do that is we'd rather vote for the snake, she said, we don't want to vote for the snake that looks at us and tells us lies. We'd rather vote for the snake that we know is a snake and is going to at least do the best thing for the country. I said, oh, she's on for Trump. That was a Trump statement right there. So
when was that? Well, how long ago was that?
This was like, I just seen it on my feed maybe like 5 days ago. I should have sent you a clip.
Nice. Okay.
Did you guys see what Trump said a couple days ago about what Joe Biden's going to be doing?
No.
Trump did say to the mainstream media that he believes Joe Biden's going to step down.
Oh, he said that right after Iowa. He said that right after Iowa. Yeah. So I want to change phrasing a second. So
Mike Obama.
Michelle, I'm not going to change it. Say Michelle. We'll say if she wants to be Michelle. I've heard Michelle Obama is going to run. Nobody's going to run besides Joe Biden. The person that they will put in will be installed, because Gavin Newsom has already said he will not run. So he can be the Democrat savior when the DNC puts him in there, or Michelle Obama, or Michelle serves as Gavin Newsom's VP. Nobody will be running. They will be installed based on the bylaws of the Democratic National Convention, where they can put in whomever they please in the last hour based on the good of the party by a vote of the committee. That's how it'll work. Or
this is just throwing it out there, or we're all being set up for a big letdown. Because I'll say it like this, even though it seems like everybody's going to vote for Trump, right? And the panic is going to set in because they don't have anybody. Let's be real. If Michelle Obama gets up there to run, ain't nobody going to vote for Michelle, bro. It's not going to happen, all right? Number one. Gavin Newsom, they're just going to expose him, all right? That's not going to happen. The only thing that they got to do is start World War III. Then the president's going to stay in office.
I respectfully, I agree.
It's Trump versus Biden, and if it ain't, war is going to break out, and we're going to have no election.
I think if it's Trump versus Biden, that's when the war would break out. I think you're underestimating the American brain when it comes to the American left, when it comes to the pristine appearance they have of Michelle Obama, and the thing, like you said, they could just slam on Governor Newsom, but they can't with 6 weeks left. So you have to remember, we only have 10% of the mainstream media. We don't have social media in our pockets except for the freedom of speech on X. Nobody on the left watches Rumble. So in the end, you've got 6 weeks. And that's why I don't understand why we're not already campaigning against Michelle Obama and Gavin Newsom just in case, where we will have 6 weeks to convince the country without the help of the mainstream legacy media and social media to tell them how bad California is. Instead, they're going to see a polished son of a bitch that looks great on commercials. You've got the whole country that loves Michelle Obama on the left that's like a new Oprah Winfrey. It's good, and not just because she's black, because they have very similar whatever. So there's a whole bunch of things that we have going against us. I think they know that they have a chance of winning with Gavin and or Michelle, whereas with Biden, I agree with you on the war thing.
So the war thing, all of politics knows that when we enter a war, no one wants to change hands of leadership. So they want to keep things the same. So I see them attempting that, but I do agree that it's probably going to end up, if Biden is the last person in, I don't see that happening. I do see them they're going to switch it out. But one thing that I do find interesting, do you guys know that Joe Biden is not on the ballot in New Hampshire?
Did not know that.
Yeah,
he is not on the ballot in New Hampshire. And so
I didn't know that.
They're trying to push for a write-in campaign, and there's a bunch of people there trying to do it, and somehow they're Biden supporters. I don't get it. But
it's back east. That area is still his stomping grounds, even though he didn't do great in New Hampshire last election.
No, and he won't. New Hampshire is still predominantly blue in a lot of ways, but I don't see that happening this election. And with them trying to push a write-in campaign, I've said this forever. The only person that I think it could successfully do a write-in campaign is Donald Trump. Like, he just has the name. But when it comes to this situation, there is also something I read over the weekend I got to still validate. So, warning, they did not use an Illinois notary to submit to run as a president in Illinois. They used a local notary in Washington, which does not work because a notary is by state. And so he might not even show up on the ballot in Illinois now.
But again, that just shows they're planning on doing whatever they want. The DNC is going to do what they want.
That's what I'm getting to, is now that we have multiple states, he's not going to show up. They have no choice but to replace him.
I don't know. We're going to see.
But with him being an incumbent, so the thing in New Hampshire, there was a disagreement between the DNC and the New Hampshire Democrats, and right. It just shows how kind of bonkers the primary and caucus things are all across the country. It doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't matter to his campaign, because really South Carolina is what matters to him. He still does well in South Carolina. But typically an incumbent doesn't have to worry about any of this stuff. That's part of the problem. But again, it is purely going to be a DNC installation, no matter how you look at it, plain and simple.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. We can see. We'll see what happens.
So I want to, and this is I want to still talk a little bit about the ad. So this is an ad that is just a blatant lie. And many people that watch the show regularly, I know we've got a lot of Cash's followers watching. I am not pro-choice, but I am not hardcore pro-life. I see that Roe versus Wade was correct in being overturned. It needed to be overturned constitutionally. It was wrong. I think it should be a state issue. But at the same token, I do understand a little bit of the concept of it being a religious issue, which we have a freedom of religion. I see a lot of gray area. And I believe that Republicans, if they keep their foot on the gas pedal on the pro-life argument, will lose the important 3 to 5% independent vote. But this is an ad that is, first off, Trump has actually made grounds towards the middle on this topic. If you've listened to him, out of all the Republican candidates, he is the most middle ground. So there is this ad that was by the Biden campaign that's just disgusting to me. So I'm going to go ahead and share it real quick. Dun, dun.
3 wonderful children. Having this beautiful, messy, chaotic, but wonderful family, it's the joy of my life. I never thought that I would need an abortion for a planned pregnancy, but I did. 2 years ago, I became pregnant with a baby I desperately wanted. At a routine ultrasound, I learned that the fetus would have a fatal condition and that there was absolutely no chance of survival. In Texas, you are forced to carry that pregnancy, and that is because of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade. The choice was completely taken away. I was to continue my pregnancy, putting my life at risk. It's every woman's worst nightmare, and it was absolutely unbearable. We need leaders that will protect our rights and not take them away. And that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
So you approve this lie. I mean, that there is no bigger lie than what was just said there. I'll let you, we'll all talk about this in a second, but there's a comment real quick. There is no gray area when it comes, God, you're 100%. The Bible is 100% against abortion. Our Constitution is not. I firmly believe that because our Constitution gives freedom of religion. And when it comes to that, I can just tell you that when I've had this conversation, even with pastors, they agree that it is a religious issue. And if it's scientific and religious, that's a different story. But there's a lot of science that will say that it doesn't begin at conception. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. But regardless, this is a lie. In the state of Texas, for an ectopic pregnancy or something that threatens the life of the woman, even though Texas has the strictest laws in the country, you still can have an abortion if it's to save the life of a mom. Not only is this disgusting, it is a lie. It is an absolute blatant lie.
Well, I just got to point out, they did very good with that commercial, though, because I'm sitting here listening, and I'm like, wow, that Texas is so horrible.
Right. And you're right. I'm watching this going, anybody that doesn't know any better, especially people not from Texas, are going to go, oh my God. And I also respectfully disagree that we should have Governor Abbott making the decision in the state. I think it should be a ballot item. I've said that forever. I understand. But fact is, in the instance that she is talking about, she is lying. She is blatantly lying. They did a great marketing campaign, but she's lying.
You know, I got to just say, too, I know how people feel when it comes to the religious aspect of things, but not everybody in our nation is a Christian. So to force them to have to go by that ideology, that's going to be a problem for voters, too, because it's like America's a melting pot. You know what I mean? So we can't just force somebody to assimilate to our way of thinking. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, to me it does.
It makes a lot of sense. And again, like Russo said, freedom of religion, right? And there's multiple religions within our nation. But where a lot of people come from is they do say most of our nation has been founded on Christianity or Christian beliefs, right? And they always say that. But the problem is regardless of whether that was the way it was founded, it still protects all religions within our nation. And so you do have to respect that. My biggest problem I have with this is where we start turning to government for overreach. When really it should be our decision. It should be how we want to handle it. We should never be looking to the government to tell us how we should do things or what is best for us. We make those decisions, never the government.
Well, it's also a touchy thing because when you think about it, right? When it comes down, like me, for Cash, I can't have an abortion. I don't care what.
No. Joe Biden says you can.
Everybody else tells you, I cannot have an abortion because I am a male. So I really don't have a dog in the fight. My thing would be, if abortion is such a big issue for somebody, how about you just be responsible with who you have sex with? You know what I'm saying? And if that person gets pregnant and they choose that they want to have an abortion and that state has banned abortion because the people there say that they want abortion banned, well, then go to another state that approves of abortion. And then you say, oh, well, we don't got the money to make that trip. Well, then that should force you to be more responsible for who you open your legs for.
100% agreed. And again, we're spinning to the abortion topic which is fine, instead of the conversation at hand, which is the fact that this woman's life was supposedly at risk, and she was told she couldn't have an abortion. I heard this actually on one of Emmanuel Acha's shows, when he brought on all of when they had the Roe versus Wade discussion, And he brought on this woman that was like, it was a black lady that lived in Texas. And she's like, I didn't know what to do. I went to my doctor and the doctor told me that I couldn't have an abortion. This was even before, by the way, the whatever Abbott put in place. So there was the 6 week, this is when we had the heartbeat bill. And she's literally saying she couldn't have an ectopic pregnancy aborted at that time. That is a lie. Like all of it's a lie. Like that is not the way that it is in Texas. If it's not a lie, she had the world's worst doctor that was too stupid to realize he was allowed to perform that medical procedure. And
which is a possibility.
This is the thing. I know how passionate of a topic this is, and I completely understand how passionate the ultra pro-life group is, and you're not wrong because you are doing something that is protecting the life of an innocent child, and I understand that. The difference is not everybody believes it is a child until a certain point. So if we find a way to have a moral discussion where we find middle ground, those people that think that people should be able to have an abortion until 8 months might be able to see it in a way where we go, maybe we look at a heartbeat, maybe we look at 10 weeks, maybe we look at something, because there's no way you're going to change human nature in half the country. And I say this every time. Government should not be making the decision. Governor Abbott is a governor, and yes, he was put in place, but I don't think he can speak in something like this for this whole state. If you look at Kansas, a very red state, Kansas was, I think, 60-40 Donald Trump in 2020. They made it a ballot item. So 60-40 red, blue, and they ended up 56% pro-choice in that state. So I just think we're ignoring some of the middle ground voters, and we're not allowing them to have a voice if you take it off the ballot. It's a states' rights rule. Put it on the ballot in every state, give options, and see where it's voted. And then if it's this important of a topic, that's how you get to the bottom of it. That's my opinion.
Can we clarify one thing? Eric mentioned it in the comments. He says the baby had a fatal condition, not her.
Should we watch it again?
Yeah, let's go through it real quick.
Okay.
I'm an OBGYN in Texas and a mother of 3 wonderful children. Having this beautiful, messy, chaotic, but wonderful family, it's the joy of my life. I never thought that I would need an abortion for a planned pregnancy, but I did. 2 years ago, I became pregnant with a baby I desperately wanted. At a routine ultrasound, I learned that the fetus would have a fatal condition and that there was absolutely no chance of survival. In Texas, you are forced to carry that pregnancy, and that is because of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Okay, yo,
Yes.
that kind of changes the perspective a little bit.
Very much so.
I mean, that's touchy ground, man. Because if the baby, they're telling her that this baby is gonna die when it's born, and this woman's gonna have to be forced to go through that, to go through the birth of a baby that she knows is gonna die. You know what I mean? So I can kind of understand her reasoning. You know,
Casey,
what I mean?
are you looking this law up in Texas?
No,
I'm trying to look it up too. So that when you play it like that, it does change things. Now, the thing with the Manuel Acho, that woman had an ectopic pregnancy. She was lying, blatantly lying. That changes things. So that's a good catch, and I apologize for not seeing it, but now I need to look more into the law. Texas law means women have to continue pregnancy despite. Let's see. I'm looking as we speak. She faced unviable pregnancy due to being the baby a rare, severe condition. To have a woman go through so much torture. Blah 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 blah.
That's sad. That's a really sad situation.
So,
situation.
Bans in a place that prohibit nearly all abortions except if a mother's life is at risk.
Not the baby. That's the loophole.
I know. I'm looking.
That is messed up. I gotta just say it. That is messed up.
I'm gonna agree that it's messed up. That's a stupid law. It's got nothing to do. So I'm gonna double down and back down a little bit. Doubling down on the fact that's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. That's got to do with Governor Abbott.
It's an election season. I mean, yeah.
No, it's election season. It's election season.
My question becomes this, and now I'm hating to say gray area. If I was a doctor and I had a patient that I'm taking care of that has an unviable pregnancy, based on some reason. I have a
Right.
feeling there's a way of charting it as though it's a danger to the mother.
Now you're trying to go against his oath.
But his oath is to take care of the patient.
Both patients.
That's a tough, it's a tough one. Okay, so one thing, nothing to do with Trump. Second thing, again, this is why it should be a state-by-state law.
I have an idea.
Citizens
I
law.
have an idea. The liberals are smart in this scenario. Can we just ask the baby if it identifies as a baby or not?
I see what you did there.
Just saying.
Baby would have miscarried. Again, I don't know. Now I want to know because the thing is I'm looking and the only thing I can find is mainstream media talking about the abortion law. So let's hold on. NPR, also not a bastion of truth, says that they've changed the law as of August of this year. Let's see if I can find anything different.
Just throwing it out there, not for nothing. I do not agree with abortions, right? But I'm okay with a woman choosing. If that makes any sense to you. I myself, I'm like, yo, you shouldn't have an abortion. But it's your body, so do what you do. Because the reason why I say this is there's a lot of things that are illegal and also against the Bible, such as murder, you know?
But that's illegal.
Stealing. Huh?
But that's actually illegal.
Right. That's not my point. My point is people still do it.
Oh, yeah, well, but the thing is people will still always do abortions, but do we make it where it's illegal and then the mother gets arrested for it?
I know what the hidden agenda is here. I see the hidden agenda. What they're really trying to do is this is racist. This is a racist law that they're passing in Texas against abortions. And the reason is because if somebody can't get an abortion, is all they're going to do is do the abortion anyway and then fill up the prison. They're trying to lock people up. That's what's really going on. No? Too much? Put too much
No,
on it?
you're good. You're right.
I don't think anybody's going to get locked up for this, but I think you
don't know.
But
look,
you do. When you have the government creating laws like this, the only thing you create is a bigger black market. That's all you create. You don't lock more people up.
Market. Huh? I can't hear you.
What happened?
All right.
So I'm reading some more. So there was something from somebody by the name of Johnson talking about, so there's 2 cases in the state of Texas where there could be a medical procedure, something called ectopic pregnancy, which we've talked about, and a ruptured membrane, which causes issues in the child. Essentially what I'm reading is, as a whole, in fact, when this happens, patient is high risk of infection, potentially sepsis. Most of the time, and this was actually bipartisan agreed in Texas in sometime this summer. Let's see. It looks as though the final bill is not as broad. Outlines 2 conditions where doctors can provide these abortions: preterm premature rupture of membranes, the medical term for when someone's water breaks too early, and ectopic pregnancy, which happens when a fertilized egg implants. So technically, even this situation does not cover a baby. And so I'm gonna respectfully agree that this is a problem. I'm also going to still say it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. So.
Yeah, well, one of the arguments in the chat is Trump claims he overturned Roe v. Wade, which I adamantly disagree. He didn't. But the Supreme Court made the decision. The Supreme Court made the decision, not his.
Oh, he paid him. He paid him off.
Oh, man.
Could be.
So now let's just really quick go to Abbott, because I want to make sure we get into a little bit of it. We'll maybe end on New Hampshire, and I want to get into Isreal. So Abbott has the wire on the border keeping people out, and the Supreme Court, in a surprise ruling, ruled against him, and they're actually allowing people to cut said wire. And Governor Abbott has gone back and said, we will do whatever we need. It's ironic that we're talking about cutting wire abortions, and he's pro. Never mind. But anyway, so Governor Abbott is essentially saying that he's going to do it anyways, and he's going to force it, almost a we're taking Texas law above federal law situation, which is the way it should be. That's what he's pretty much saying. I'm shocked that the Supreme Court made this ruling. Kaecey?
I am not shocked, because it's technically the federal government's position. Like, that's what they should be doing, is protecting our border. It's not the state. So I'm not surprised that it was decided this way. When it comes to what Governor Abbott is doing, he needs to be handling it not directly on the border, within his state, and doing other things, which I would remove this whole situation from the Supreme Court and federal government trying to step in. If he was handling it within his state, it would be different.
I agree.
What do you think?
I think that their ruling is actually just. But like Kaecey said, if I was Abbott, I'd say, all right, we're going to move a mile in this way, and we're going to build our own wall right here in Texas, and we're going to put our own, because they're like one of the states that's got a military, right? Yeah.
National
so
Guard.
I put the military out there. You guys are hired. I want you to patrol this border, and anybody that comes through, I don't care if they let them through, send them back.
Correct. And Chrissy's right. Like, what she's saying is correct, but we can't go and fortify the border. The state can't. The border is the federal land, and that's what the federal government protects. If, like Cash said, come in 1 mile and then fortify, you can do that. Like, the federal government can't come in and tell you no.
But that's such a, I mean, yes and no, but that's such bullshit, because they've actually got a strategic line of defense where they're putting it on the border, that once you move, and I don't know if it's a mile, because federal land could sometimes reach for 10 miles, 100 miles. Like, it just depends.
Wherever that line is that they can cross, to where they're not impeding on the federal land or federal work or whatever it is that they got, that's where they should put it at. Because I mean, they have an agreement with the federal government, obviously, where they're a state, so in their contract, their contractual agreement that was made way long ago, the government, they know the rights that they have. So for Texas, the only thing that you can do is move back, say, all right, go ahead, federal government. This is y'all's land over here, but this is Texas. We ain't touching your land, and ain't nobody coming over here. Not this way.
But I know the topography and geography, and the only place to do it is the way that they're doing it along the Rio Grande and along that part of the river. It's in the open area of Texas. It's not feasible. It's not like, it's just not. Then you have to build a whole different wall. Whereas this point, you can target the areas that they're coming through, almost like a funnel point. It's more strategic. There is no way for Governor Abbott to go, we're going to move it here and we're going to build it all the way across. Otherwise, it's a failed thing. They're having to do it at strategic points, and those strategic points may be federal, but that's the only way to keep the influx out.
Right, but use your military. That's the thing. Use your military. You don't even got to build a wall. Fine. We're just going to put our military out here on outposts, and anybody we catch, we're locking them up. Texas State Prison. I guarantee you go to Texas State Prison, you ain't never going to come back to America. I'm done. I'm done. I
don't want them going to Texas State Prison. I don't want them taking up our tax dollars. I literally, it's to me, the overriding theme is, yes, from a federal standpoint, it's probably right. But the overriding theme is, this to me makes it very clear. First off, I'm surprised at the Supreme Court. Secondly, this makes it very, very clear that the Biden administration does not want to stop the inflow of people. If people don't see that by this fight, this pushback of them saying, like, this is the best way to stop this, let us do it, and they say, no, we're going to fight it, and then somehow get the Supreme Court on board, I think that needs to be shown deeply in this next election cycle.
But do you see the issue here? Like, it's way deeper, bro. They got this fake ass two parties, right? Fake ass two-party system where even if, let's say Texas they buck and they like, yo, we're going to secede. We're not going to be a part of the United States no more. Well, now you got people living inside your country that are skewed in their mind because they believe that the way that the government was trying to do it was right. So it doesn't matter if you secede, because you have so many people over there that are willing to stand up for the government instead of their state, that it would do you nothing but destroy your state. So it's like they're creating this whole narrative, and you can't even get Abbott can't even be mad. He can't even be mad at the president or the federal government, because if he does, what's going to happen? he gets removed from
Right.
office by the people that are in his state. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much that he could do. So they're really priming us up for a disaster, not just within our own country with, you know, with the influx of people coming across the border, but they're setting us up for a disaster in that state, because if he does buck, he's going to have backlash with his own people.
Well, and it takes it even further. It pushes more of a divide, because you
Yeah.
have Congress, and I've been saying this for the last 2 years with all of this disaster, Congress can do something. It is not Joe Biden's responsibility. Congress can call an action and all come into office and make a decision, and they can vote on it. But what is happening is you have dumbass speaker just saying, oh, Joe Biden's got to fix this. It's his mess. He's got to fix this. All they're doing is forcing division and then making everybody point fingers, but Americans are going to suffer, but they're going to try to divide us by keep pushing those same narratives, by blaming each other.
Who is it? Mayorkas?
Mayorkas is what is he, DOJ?
Yeah.
He's responsible for what goes on over there with the border. So
Yeah.
how come people aren't holding him accountable within Congress? Like all the Republican Party and everybody that has an influx of people that's being shipped around the country, you know, from the border, how come everybody isn't blaming him or saying something about him instead of blaming, you know, saying Joe Biden? Because we already know Joe Biden ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He's just there. He's just a talking head. And he doesn't even do that well because he can't talk. You know what I'm saying? But people should be up like, yo, what's going on, man? This dude is supposed to be controlling the border and he ain't doing nothing. So we got to do something about this. This is what needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. We're going to go ahead and talk about Isreal next. I want to do a quick little shout out. A few people have bought the water, Sentry H2O, as you see me drinking the whole episode. This is not the water bottle from it, but this is what I drink out of. It's aluminum because plastic is horrible for you. So good. So just go to SentryH2O.com, use Russo10 for 10% off. It's an under-the-sink filtration system. They worked a lot with the people in East Palestine, and were able to get all of the graphene oxide, all of that stuff was able to get filtered out of the water by the use of this filtration system. It's got the highest level carbon, and I'm going to strongly suggest that you only have to replace the filter once every about 18 months. So it's way better than Brita, and it even adds oxygen, magnesium, minerals into it. Tastes really good, and the best water that you will drink. Go to SentryH2O.com, use Russo10 for 10% off. All right. And I'm going to leave this.
Can I address one thing real quick? Tracy's called this out. Tracy, so the 10th Amendment, yes, you are correct. It is the state's responsibility. They can step in. But the problem is you have to take this to court and you have to go to the Supreme Court. We don't have time to deal with that process. You just have to take action and work within the limits that you know you are given. And that is where find where your boundary is that you can work from and put up a wall. That is what you need to be doing.
And I'm going to agree with Eric. Microplastics are the worst. I've talked about that a bunch. Chaotic Truth, we got to get him back on with Cash. You guys do a great show together. And I believe as though Cindy thinks that you are the Mona Lisa. No matter where you look, you're looking right at her. All right. You've heard that about the Mona Lisa before. People are like, it follows you around the room. Anyways.
No, Russo, never heard that before. That's strange.
Well, just now, Cindy must have been on the ceiling because if you were looking at her, you were looking up. Isreal. So Benjamin, a.k.a. Bibi Netanyahu, has said that he is not agreeing to a prisoner swap, which is being painted by certain sides as, well, of course, he's not being willing to call a ceasefire. They tried making a deal on a ceasefire about 2 months ago now. Like Cash's statements, I agree that the savagery and the destruction on the Palestinian people is sad. Using the term genocide, I think, is bullshit. I think it is ultimately one military that is beating the shit out of another military that is unwilling to actually release the prisoners that they have taken, hostages that they have taken. And the trade that they are trying to make, is for actual criminals, people that robbed, killed, murdered, beat, all these different things. They're putting the equivalent of their prisoners in Israel, which they're admitting are criminals. They want those people released in order to release hostages. That's not a fair trade. That's not a fair trade. That's what's going on. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu, again, I will also agree that Israel is corrupt as hell. So is the United States of America. But at the end of the day, Hamas is the enemy. Hamas
The
was
devil. Hamas is the devil. They're not
devil.
an enemy. They are the devil.
And
You know
the only way this ends, and then I'll end my statement and let Cash go. The only way this ends is by a people's uprising in Palestine, in Gaza, against Hamas joining with Israel. And that'll never happen.
Both of them need to have an uprising. I think the Palestinians and the Israelis need to have an uprising and get them governments out of there, because, and this is why I say
that'll never happen in Israel.
First off, listen, everybody understands the history of Israel, right? It's not like you got to understand the plight of all the people that are connected to this whole thing. That country was Palestine prior 1948. Okay, let's get that understood. It's the equivalent of if somebody came over here to America and took over America and told you, listen, we're going to put you over here and we're going to let y'all live. All right. I know we killed a whole bunch of other people, but we're going to let you guys live and you can have this little land, kind of like a reservation for a native, just to throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? You guys stay over here and we're going to stay over here. And then here we are, 80 years later, and now everybody wants us to be okay with the people that are sitting in our country, what we still consider America. This is America. Nope, it's not. It's New Russia now. We're calling it New Russia because our people came over here first across Alaska. Like, come on. We got to understand the whole situation over here. It's not like Israel is just this great people over there that aren't doing the wrong thing with their government. The people, the regular people, civilians, are good. They're like us, dealing with a fucked up government. The Palestinians are like us, dealing with a fucked up government. And yes, they are like us. I got a bunch of Palestinian friends that are
not
really
all
good
the
people.
I do things based on percentages. It's just like crime statistics in the United States. When I get shit for bringing up black on black crime, it's very similar. Palestinians have a much higher rate of jihadists and a higher rate of hate towards other religions.
Do you know what jihad is? Do you know what jihad is?
Killing in the name of their God.
No.
That's
not jihad. Okay. A jihad is raised when somebody invades your land. This is when you have the right. When someone invades your land and kicks you out of your home, you have the right to kill them, to take back your land because it's your land. That's what jihad is.
That's not the dictionary. Dictionary says an individual striving for spiritual self-perfection. It's part of a holy war, spiritual struggle for the propagation or defense of Islam. That does not mean to get their land back.
Look it up. Read it in the
I'm
Quran.
looking it up right now.
No, I know you're reading the definition. I'm talking about in the Quran. When a jihad is able to be waged.
Jihad is a loaded term. So this is from a more of a leftist source. So let's, oh God, I need to put in my email to unlock this story. Hold on, let me put in a junk email. Go ahead, and here it is. Thank you for signing up. I don't really care. Okay, let go. Jihad is a loaded term and a concept that illustrates a deep gulf of miscommunication between Islam and the West. And this is an article published in 2003, by the way. There are those in each community who see jihad as a clash of civilians and act on those beliefs, but jihad literally means exerted effort to most Islamic scholars and Muslims and represents a range of activities. There's an author of the book, Jihad versus Terrorism, believed there was a twofold need to set the record straight. Number one was the discovery that everyone is defining us except everyone is explaining jihad except Muslims. He said, second, I noticed that some Muslims needed to brush up or review on for their own clarity and understanding of their own religion. So you're half right, but at the same time, there is a lot of...
You know who uses your definition? You know who uses your definition? Terrorists.
Who?
Terrorists use that definition. We're doing this in the name of religion. It ain't.
Can I bring up something that matters? Wait. Donald Trump won New Hampshire.
Already?
Yeah, it's done.
701? Wow. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
But hold on. Okay. If somebody comes into your land, right, and tries to, matter of fact, we'll just use the example of your house. Someone comes to your house and tells you to get the hell out your house or they're going to remove you by force, and then they start killing people. What are you going to do?
You fight back.
Okay, now, let's say that you lose, right? And now these people are living in your house, but they allow your children to live in the basement. Them children have children and raise them children in the basement. And they're always told, this is actually our house. These people actually killed us and took it. And it's not the people that are living in the house that took it. It's the people that are already gone, but they gave them people this house. How are you going to feel towards the people that are still living there and making you live in the basement?
Which is a setup from the start of why they all hate each other.
Exactly my point. It's
a holy war, and that's why I say it is a holy war. It's not a genocide. And when I look at the plight of the Jewish people, as somebody half Jewish, I look at the plight of the Jewish people, not since 1948. They were given that land because they were eradicated by everybody and their mother. They were hated by everyone in the world at many points. And they had 6 million people that were exterminated from the face of the planet. And they gave them this itty bitty piece of land that, yes, unfortunately displaced several people that have gotten angry from that. But from that point, Muslims are welcome all over the world. There's 2.5 billion Muslims. They have chosen to stay in that area. And I get it. It's their house originally, but this is now 2 generations.
That's the whole point.
But and that's why it's a holy war and a struggle. But in the United States of America, that would essentially be like you would be then sticking up for Native Americans to kill. So I think that's bullshit. We won. It's our land.
Not to kill.
That's what they do. Not all Palestinians.
Well, this is my thing. So this is what my point was. It's 2 different perceptions of reality. In our reality in America, he who has the biggest stick rules the motherfucking land. Period.
Exactly.
Okay? That's our reality. But in their reality, it's no. This is the land of our forefathers, and we want to live in peace, and we don't want to be disturbed. And then you come over here and displace us, and now we have to be like you and fight and kill. That's the whole point.
But they've been doing it forever. Like people think that Israel's just safe and whatever. Like Israel, like they've got the Iron Dome, right? Or it's called the Iron Dome. They've got the missile defense system that is constantly being used. They're constantly, always, not in the last 2 months. They are constantly having missiles shot at them from this open air prison or other parts of that area. And they're being shot out constantly because they're being challenged. So Israel is going to bow up. They're going to have that place. That is their land. They have staked it. They have one of the most advanced militaries in the world and intelligence systems to answer a lot of Ronnie's comments. You've made some great comments on the side. You are correct.
Israel created Hamas. That's who created Hamas.
Israel created Hamas over 2 decades ago, or almost 2 decades ago. And honestly, the argument being used with the Palestinian people voted in Hamas, it's their own fault. That was in 2006 or 2003. They have not been allowed to have another election. So I understand the plight of the Palestinians.
But wait. Do you know why they voted Hamas in overwhelmingly? Because they had the stamp of Israel's approval. Because the good portion of the citizens there were trusting Israel. A good portion of them citizens like Israelis. And this is the misconception that people get when we say, oh, well, not all the Palestinians. No, the Palestinians over there, the regular people, they get along with the Israeli people. They don't like the government. That's it.
Correct. You're not wrong. But at the same token, just because it's been, like you said, it was a stamp from Israel, it's all these different things. It doesn't mean that what is unfortunately their leadership, it takes a nation. It takes your own nation. So if our government,
rise up as a Palestinian civilian when you don't have shit? How can you have an uprising when you can't have anything?
Well, I understand, but then you leave.
This is a humanitarian
thing. You have to find
a way
to
leave. Nations need to come together and say, you know what? These people are being mistreated. These people should have running water. And Hamas is doing the wrong thing, so we're going to remove Hamas. We're not going to round up citizens and have them crying and begging and saying,
that is what
we don't want Hamas.
That's what they're saying
Hamas,
they're doing.
And they still fucking die. That's not okay.
I don't necessarily agree that that's 100% what they're doing, but they're literally saying that is what they're doing. They're talking about the fact that Hamas, and I've talked to people that I trust that have been Israeli military, they are using that human shield thing isn't a lie. They have all their bases near civilian areas. They are blowing the shit out of Hamas, saying, give us back the hostages that you have taken, and this will all stop. And now Hamas goes, you got to give us our criminals back. It's not going to happen. It's also and again, as I said in the very beginning, I don't think what is being done there is great. It's sad. It's unfortunate. I hate seeing the death of children. I hate seeing all of that. But at the same time, This is a war. This is not a genocide. A genocide would be rounding a bunch of kids up into a room.
Genocide happened already back in 1948 and kept on happening.
What do you mean?
They were genociding the shit out of Palestine. That's a fact.
When they were moving people out?
That's a fact.
That's possible.
They had the wars in 1968 or something like that. They had the wars. Man,
that was
a genocide,
that was
bro.
a retaliation. The war in 1968
but
was
it was against civilians. Is my whole point. They were killing the shit out of innocent people.
War is always at risk of civilians.
Exactly. That's not genocide.
At risk, yes, but targeted.
Yeah, well, that's always what war is. That's always
but
what
that's
war is.
foul. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with none of it on either side from any.
I don't disagree.
I think that shit's pathetic, and I think that it's fucked up, and I think that them governments are the devil. Both of them. Israeli government, Hamas, they are the fucking devil.
We're the ones that started this. Henry Kissinger was the one that essentially created the idea of carpet bombing, and that's how we have done created so many negative things all over the world. At the same time, preserved American. There's a lot of ways of looking at Henry Kissinger, but that's just the matter of the fact that it is an imperfect science when it comes to war. What is happening right now is not you can't say something is genocide when the other side is still holding hostages from something they did. And to Ronnie's point, I agree with you earlier. How did Israel not know? I do think it was a setup. I think someone in Israel knew what was happening. There's no way the greatest intelligence
play out of the American handbook, bro. This is what we do. Our country goes in and we destabilize governments and we put our people in there and then we fight a war against them later. We did the same thing with Osama bin Laden. We did the same thing with Saddam Hussein. We did the same thing with Gaddafi. We did the same. It just keeps repeating itself. And it bothers me. I'm getting passionate about it because I love people. I love all people. I love this world. You feel me? And to see people that are like me, that got children, that are just trying to live their life, that are just trying to survive underneath an oppressive government. And with Hamas, they're an oppressive government. And then see the Israelis also oppressing the people. It's not like they were oppressing Hamas. They were also oppressing the people.
You're not wrong.
You know what I'm saying?
I just think at the end of the day, the narrative needs to be honest. And like you said, it's sad what is happening, but the same way that you love everybody, you love people, and I get that. I love everybody that's coming from the southern border. Doesn't mean they should come in. So there has to be some kind of line in the sand where it is drawn, and where it is drawn is the fact that this is an ugly holy war. This is not a genocide happening over there right now. In fact, Hamas still won't give back over 100 of the hostages without a trade, and that was what the initial part of the story was. It's just dispelling some of the narrative that's out there.
But where's the narrative coming from? Social media, and mainstream news. And so when you start talking about it, when we say we got to get rid of the narrative, what do you have to do? You have to start cutting those sources out, and no one is talking about that. Because that is what I've been saying since the beginning of this. TikTok has pushed this narrative. TikTok has also pushed the narrative of Osama bin Laden was actually a good guy.
Yeah, crazy.
And we have to start looking at the sources and calling out the sources, not the narrative, calling out the sources so people can put blame in the proper place, not on the narrative, but on the sources of where it's coming from.
Don't we find it odd that the TikTok algorithm, what we believe is as divisive as possible, TikTok had a 10-to-1 algorithm for pro-Palestinian messaging. We don't find that odd.
No, I do find it odd. I said that all along. TikTok is controlling people, and that's why I refuse to even use the app anymore. They have the most phenomenal algorithm out of all social media. Nothing compares. And so if you want to use it, more power to you. You can see it in the comments. I've told many people, many of our followers, you guys are all watching. If you want to use it, go free, but at least recognize how much power that social media platform has in manipulating people. There is a problem there.
It is a serious problem. And to end this topic, the Palestinian people can't have an election because of Hamas.
Yes.
So that, again, I get that it's not their fault, but it is their fault. They got to do something about it. There's been actual insurrections for less all over the world. And I know it's difficult, but if they want to create a change, that's how they do it. The problem is, I think Israel is too corrupt to help their people. So
government is too corrupt to help their people.
The government. Yeah. And I mean, again, when we're seeing, like you said, pushed information that Osama bin Laden was actually an intelligent, well, not intelligent, but a good guy. Like we have to be careful what we're trusting. And the fact that there has been this massive campaign of pro-Palestinian garbage, not to say there's not good Palestinian people, but the Palestinian ideal being this bastion of freedom when they throw gay people off roofs and you've got LGBTQ XYZ community going free Palestine. It's like, are you fucking for real? Okay.
Yeah,
moving on.
Don't get me wrong. When I see those protests, I still laugh and I'm like, what are you doing?
I have to laugh at that.
I do.
I can't wait to be back in the world and actually see this shit for myself so I could go up to them.
Dude. You should have seen the
You do realize that you're already dead, right? In Palestine, you wouldn't make it. You know?
Don't go to any roofs. All right, let's really quick touch. Let's go to New Hampshire real fast. So DeSantis dropped out. Nikki Haley's still alive, somewhat. Apparently, she lost tonight already.
Yep.
One of the big things that needs to be brought up is so Nikki Haley got a endorsement from Frigonometry. What's their governor's name? Very popular Republican governor. Help me out.
New Hampshire?
Yeah, New Hampshire's governor. I was just talking about him on the radio earlier. He's going to look it up. Got an endorsement from
Sununu.
I
never say his name.
That's so fun to say, isn't it? Sununu.
Sununu. And he had, he's a very popular governor in New Hampshire. I'm curious how that would play. But fact is, the way that Trump and Sununu were going at each other, I was like, this is everything we don't need. They're literally throwing punches that can be used by the Democrats. The actual voting percentages, the polling percentages was half of Nikki Haley primary voters were voting against Donald Trump instead of for Nikki Haley, whereas for Trump, it was 85%, 10%, 85% voting for Trump, 10% voting against Nikki Haley. I think that says a lot. It sounds like Nikki Haley has already lost the state. What are your thoughts of what happens after New Hampshire, considering that it looks like Nikki Haley has lost, and then we'll end the show?
Nikki Haley's going to endorse Trump.
You think?
Of course. She's going to have no choice. I've been watching Instagram, bro. And on Instagram, there's people going to her campaign where she does her little campaign speeches at. And I kid you not, bro, the funniest thing in the world happened, right? She goes up to this guy and, oh, thank you. He's a veteran. And then he's like, so I just want to ask you, this is for the homeless veterans, right? She goes, yeah. She goes, why are you spending $100 million on campaign ads against Trump that can be used to go towards veterans? And you know you're not going to win against them. Like, we're not voting for you. I was like, dang. Then I watched another one where a guy goes, Nikki. And yeah. And he goes, Nikki. She goes, yes. She goes, will you marry me? Yes, ma'am. All right. So Nikki, will you come down and marry me? And he goes, she goes, are you going to vote for me? He goes, no, I'm going to vote for Trump.
Oh, that's so good. All right.
Great. I got to get off, guys. I apologize.
All right. Last thing, Cash. Who do you think is going to be the VP pick now?
Honestly, I don't know. It's up. I think Barack Obama.
Oh, Jesus. Really?
I'm leaning Ben Carson at this point because of her things I've heard. I didn't even know he was an option, but apparently Ben Carson's an option. Cash, go get out of here.
All right, man.
Hey, buddy.
Love you guys. Even though we disagree on some things, I love you, brothers, and I got your back always. And everybody that's watching right now, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please like this video, share this video. You know, we're going to disagree sometimes, but that's the beauty of America. We just can't let that divide us because we got to get together to make some change, all right? So unite, don't fight, be a street light. Only you can be the change we see in the world. When we get too stressed, I got to...
Did he freeze right there? Woo, 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 woo. He froze at a weird spot. Oh, that's it. We should take a screen. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. There we go. All right. Bye, Cash. Froze. Woo! Yeah, brother. All right. So real quick to everybody seeing him, like we've got the thing on the bottom. If you want to get him help getting set up, it's helpcash.com. For the stuff that I have not quick talked about, the Dr. Artis Show, I just ordered some new, some more pills for me this week. which you can get the anti-juice stuff there, as well as what I get, the Dox Viral Defense. I wasn't feeling good earlier this week. Felt better in a day with a little of that and vitamin C and zinc. That's thedrartisshow.com, BFD at checkout for 10% off. WakeNotWokeStore.com. We've got the Pure Blood hat, Wake Not Woke hat. We've got all the different t-shirts, including Cash t-shirts. Use Cash for 20% off at the checkout, KSH. Cash shirts, however, you don't get a discount on those. Am I forgetting anything? No, it just said the helpcash.com. Go to that site to help them out. And I've already talked about Sentry H2O, our water company, SentryH2O.com. Use Russo 10 for 10% off. Kaecey, take us home.
Guys, just pay attention to the elections. I think Nikki's done after this. I don't, because she's already projected to not even win South Carolina, her state that she was actually governor at, right? Governor, yeah. But I think she's done. It's all in on Trump. Now we just got to watch and see what the Democratic Party does. That's the big part there. But a lot of my focus is here locally because Utah's in a legislative session. I talked a little bit about it at the beginning of the show, but there's a lot of things going on here. That's where my attention is at. And I encourage you to do the same with your states. I don't know when your legislative sessions are in place. Just Google it. You'll be able to find it. Some of yours are going to be 45 days all the way up to 180. But you want to be engaged in what's going on in your state. For example, what Texas is doing is fighting against the federal government. You need to be with your state, not the federal government.
Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm looking at all the different numbers coming through right now. Polls closing. They're saying that Biden is still going to win as a write-in candidate.
Yeah, of course, because everybody else already filled it all out and just inserted write-in campaign for Joe Biden.
It's crazy. All right, that's all we got for you guys. God bless. Have a great rest of your night. Let's see. We want Trump. I see all the comments. Great show, guys. Do all the likes before you get out of here. All right. God bless, guys. Have a great night. And yeah, what Cash said earlier. Woo.